There are some foods that we all really love, but our bodies really don't. Today, we're talking about inflammation. I'm going to show you some ways to work around your body's can'ts, won'ts, and don't want to's so that you don't have to sacrifice any of the flavor or texture in all of your favorite dishes. Inflammation is pretty much your body's first line of defense when you get injured, and that is completely normal. But an inflammatory diet can cause prolonged stress on your body and lead to chronic health issues, which is something you definitely don't want. I'm gonna lay out some of the key offenders for inflammation and give you my substitution strategy that you can add to your culinary toolkit. You're welcome. The first big offender that I wanna talk about, processed meats. I love processed meat. Don't get me wrong, but there are plenty of substitutions that I love to use when I need the texture and sometimes the flavor from processed meats. So if I'm making a sandwich, I'll take a celery root. Instead of crispy bacon bits, I'll make crispy shiitake strips. And lentils and beans are my absolute favorite when it comes to replacing ground meats. And now for the MVP of inflammation, all-purpose flour. It has been processed to remove the germ and the bran, so this lowers the amount of fiber and protein in it and just gives you simple carbs. Really not good for your body. But don't fear, spelt flour is one of my favorites. It has a little bit of a denser texture, but if you sift it, you'll still get the lightness from AP flour. Semolina flour is made from durum wheat, and here we have chickpea flour. I love cheese, but my stomach does not. Regular milk, it's fine, but it doesn't really add anything to baked goods in terms of flavor. It's more for fat and a liquid to balance out the starch in baked goods. So you can use any number of alternative milks to substitute in almost any recipe. It just depends on your preference and potential allergies. This next one might surprise you, but another inflammatory food is vegetable oil, because vegetable oil is very high in omega-6 fatty acids, which are not the good kinds. You want to try to find oils that are higher in omega-3 fatty acids, like avocado oil and extra virgin olive oil. And another substitution in baked goods that my mother used to use all the time, instead of oil, she would use grated apples. They add a lot of moisture to your baked goods and keep it light and fluffy without having processed oil added to it. So it is time to level up our anti-inflammatory game. We've talked about foods that are neutral or will not cause inflammation, but let's talk about foods that are anti-inflammatory and actually reduce the stress on your body. So we're talking about dark leafy greens. You have kale, collards, spinach, all of that family, fresh ginger root, bonus, avocado, turmeric, flax seeds, blueberries, watermelon, pineapple. There are so many anti-inflammatory foods that are absolutely delicious, so you can just stay away from the processed stuff. So for most items that cause inflammation, it's not as simple as remove it or just a one-to-one swap. You have to kind of recalibrate your recipes to match the texture and the flavor as much as possible so you're not disappointed with the final outcome. So we all know and love lasagna, right? However, it can cause inflammation. So to reduce that, I like to use mushrooms for the bolognese instead of ground meat. So while we're cooking our mushrooms, we're gonna keep the heat very high because we want to evaporate a lot of this moisture so that we get that deep caramelized flavor and lots of umami. That's gonna give you a similar feel to ground meat. A little onion, garlic, and carrot. Whew. Oh, that onion really gets you. So I like to use dried herbs in something like this because the flavor is a little stronger and you don't have to worry about them turning brown and kind of muddled. And I'm gonna add my tomato puree, lots of lycopene. Tomatoes are really good for you. A little bit of brown sugar. It's not a refined sugar. Gee, doesn't this look like a real bolognese? Oh my God. So while the mushroom bolognese is cooking, I'm gonna show you how to make our almond cheese and ricotta substitute. actually really exciting. So dairy is inflammatory to some people because it does have high levels of saturated fat. It also irritates some people's stomach. Some people are lactose intolerant. So small amounts of dairy might be okay, but large quantities can really upset your stomach and cause inflammation. So I like to use raw almonds, pureed until they're nice and warm, and then it makes a soft, spreadable cheese-like texture. Pretty awesome. And it's literally just gonna get mixed with the ricotta. So we have half and half ricotta and almond cheese. So that way you're still getting some of the richness without all of the dairy. So this is my anti-inflammatory lasagna. I have semolina pasta noodles, mushroom bolognese, and almond ricotta cheese with a little Parmesan on top because it is still lasagna. I'm making buns for this salmon burger with whole wheat flour. It's still soft, still fluffy, but it'll give you a little bit more of a robust flavor and a little bit of a denser bread that's great for burgers because it'll stand up to the bite and the chew. Whisk the yeast until it's fully dissolved and let it sit in the warm water until it gets foamy and starts to bubble up. Oh, nailed it. I missed my calling for the WNBA, I swear. I also missed about 3 feet of height to be able to do that, but gonna add a little more flour. So our dough has sat and it's risen. It's beautiful. Look at that. What you want to do if it gets sticky is just add a little bit of oil to the countertop. Don't press too hard with the brush when you're doing egg wash because you don't want to deflate the buns. If you want a burger, use salmon. We're gonna do it in batches. So this will give us some larger pieces and some smaller pieces, so it has a nice texture. I'm gonna add the remaining salmon. So the salmon patties have been cooked in a cast iron skillet to get a nice sear on them, and now I'm ready to assemble. That is like the perfect anti-inflammatory burger. And it gives you all the satisfaction of eating a regular burger with none of the inflammation and stress on your system. Yay. So there you have some of my workarounds so that you can get the best food possible and live your best anti-inflammatory life.